Every Christian individual and every Christian group has a testimony. But the reason I feel that our testimony ought to go forward and be read by the church is based upon a scene in our society today that is both frightening and beautiful. I see today a beautiful evangelical Christian religious awakening in America. Recent political events have caused Americans to face crises, to look within ourselves, and the deep sense of the problems have caused many to look out for a basic faith, something that will make things right, something that will anchor us back in the sheltered harbor of the justice and morality and goodness for which we long. But I think many of us want forgiveness without repentance. I sense this so much as I try to establish relationships with my white brethren in the South. I find that they want my relationship, but they want more to quickly forget the brutality and the injustice that their people put upon many of us in the name of Christianity, and that's the frightening part. Ours is not a story of bitterness. It is a story of love and the triumphs of the God of love. But it is a story carved out of the realities of violence and poverty, ending not in some sugar-coated sense of brotherly love, but the deep conviction that only the power of Christ's crucifixion on the cross and the glory of his resurrection can heal the deep racial wounds in both black and white people in America. Unless we see the depth of our need, and unless we see the cross as the only answer, then we could see this wave of evangelical awakening someday turn into a wave of repression. For what is happening in the religious disputes of today and what happened in Nazi Germany prove that there is nothing more dangerous than latent religious prejudice and racism festering for a time beneath the surface of a light religious zeal, only to explode later in violence, death, and hatred. For someone to think that he can forget the brutality and injustice of a system because of some light revival in worship is self-deception. It will take more than that. I know because for repentance and forgiveness to work in my life, God had to see me through months of agony and pain after being beaten almost to death. The Lord had to lead me through a great time of soul searching, and it wasn't until I could look at Mississippi Highway Patrolmen, fully uniformed and ready for service, and look at him without feeling a sense of bitterness, that I could really begin to relate my faith in a creative way to the task of reconciliation and evangelism. I have overcome that sense of bitterness in my own heart, even though it was caused by my enemy. God had to replace it with his love. So I find it hard to believe in forgiveness without deep repentance. Yet I believe that we are facing the same type of situation King Josiah faced and the nation of Israel. The rise of an evangelical faith corresponds to the rediscovering of the book of the law. We are rediscovering the truth of the gospel on a massive scale throughout our land. Now it is our decision whether we want to cover up our past or, following Josiah's example, allow the truth to penetrate our lives so that we can experience real healing in our land. See 2 Kings 22. This is my hope, a healing hope, that this book might be one small part of that process.